Welcome to Strange Sculpting, where we redefine strength and sculpt success, one episode at a time. Let's get started.
Welcome to our weekly resilience podcast. I'm Don Strange. This is my lovely co-host, Cynthia Mandel. And I believe we have a power-packed show for you today, or talk or chat, whatever you want to call it. But Cynthia is going to give me questions. It's going to be question and answer. I can't wait. I'm sure it's going to be like questions like you would ask Albert Einstein or your favorite theologian, Billy Graham. If Billy Graham was, what would you ask? What would you ask Jesus if he was in the room with you? I don't know what the question's going to be. They're completely spontaneous, so I can't wait to delve into it. By the way, before we get started, if you haven't watched our last show of weekly resilience, you need to go back and watch Cynthia Mandel's. She talked about how she lost 7,000 pounds. She actually lost 253 pounds. 250, that's insane. That's more than a person. And she lost 175 pounds with strange sculpting. And if you want to watch that, it was amazing. Just go back to YouTube. I'll have a link in the show notes below where you can click on that. But Cynthia, what do we got for today? I can't wait to answer these questions. By the way, before you start, a lot of times whenever you're talking, Cynthia, if you watch back in our other shows or other things, you'll notice me looking down. I'm not looking at my phone. I'm actually writing notes because Cynthia has so much good stuff to say. It's like, man, I want to write that down. I suggest whenever you hear the pearls of wisdom come out of my mouth, I would suggest you would get your pen and paper handy because there's going to be a lot of 500-600 words I use, I'm sure. Go ahead, Cynthia.
You never know what's going to snap out at you. Okay, so we talk to tons of different people, and we have many demographics that are on that watch us. So one of the first questions is going to be for if somebody has never exercised at all, what would you suggest they start with as far as actual strength training or in the gym, or really just making that step to go into a facility to work out?
Okay. This is what's interesting. The first thing I would do, because I've had lots of people, it's a very uncomfortable situation. If you've never been to the gym, you're overweight. Even like in my heaviest, I was a trainer in an uncomfortable gym because I wasn't where I wanted to be. And people have an image in their brain. They say that they want to look like. And if they don't look like that, sometimes I don't want to go to the gym. I don't want to go to the gym because you don't look like that. You know what I'm talking about, Cynthia? Does
Absolutely.
that relate to you? And so if I had dealt with that and I was only like, I lost like 45, 50 pounds, how much more does the average American feel intimidated when they go to the gym? And plus, I knew what I was doing, Cynthia. So I'm empathetic about that. This is what I've told some people. There was a girl a couple of years ago I trained, 350 pounds she started, and she lost a lot of weight. And she was one on one of our weekly chats a couple of years ago, Cynthia. She was a girl who lost like over 100 pounds. And what I told her was she was so intimidated by the gym, and then she became an old pro. I said, just go in. Half the battle is just going, just like going to church. You just go in, and I told her, just get on the treadmill. Just get on the treadmill 5 minutes. That doesn't sound like a lot, but you build self-confidence by doing what you say. So she went to the gym. She was there 5 minutes. She did that for like a couple of days. She's like, if I'm going to be here, I may as well do something else. And so whenever you go to the gym, the first thing that I would do, if you're not going to the gym, if that's your question, go to the gym, I would go to the treadmill, get on the treadmill 5 minutes. It's not going to do a whole lot for you long if you keep doing that, just at 5 minutes. But what it will, it's a lead in to do other things. And then plus, if you start the treadmill, you do 5 minutes the first week, then you do 10 minutes the second week, then you do 20 minutes. Eventually, you're going to build a lot of cardiorespiratory endurance. But if you don't have that, get some bands at home. But let's go back to the gym. Let me finish that. What most trainers want to do whenever they get you in the gym is put you in an unstable environment. I don't like that because that makes people very uncomfortable. And there's a strategy as to why they want to do that. But I don't like that strategy because the last thing you want to do if you're not familiar with the gym is be unstable because that's going to make you even more insecure. You know what I'm talking about? It's like, let me get you on the ball. But there is, as far as the OPT model, whenever it goes to training, there is a strategy behind that would lead to long-term success. The problem is if you're not willing to do it, you won't do it. And so as a trainer, I put people on machines that are really easy. It's like, hey, you know this, you could put a monkey on a lot of the machines there. And the intimidating part is sitting down at the machine because you think it's so crazy. But how many times have you heard me say this? Some of the dumbest people I know are in good shape, right? It's not a great thing to say, but it's true. But I would stay with machines. They're only going to work on one plane of motion. It's pretty easy. As long as you're doing really slow and controlled, you're going to be good. So first, treadmill. Get on the treadmill. Everybody can use a treadmill. 5 minutes on the treadmill. I'm nervous. I don't want to be there. 5 minutes and hike it. You know what I'm saying? You overcame that fear to go to the gym. And then the next day, 5 minutes again until you have enough confidence to go to the next thing. But half the battle is getting there, and guarantee if you go to the gym, you drive 10 minutes to go to the gym, eventually you're going to stay more than 5 minutes. That's my suggestion. And I've had good success with that.
I love it. Thank you so much. That's so good. Because I get that, not wanting to step in, but you're right. Once you're there and once you get that routine, it's so fabulous. You almost crave going.
You do.
Let's see. What would the next question be?
I can't wait to hear it, Cynthia.
What would you say? People talk all different things like don't swim for an hour after you've eaten. If you're going to go for a walk, you have to walk a half hour before you eat or an hour and a half after. When it comes to strength training, do you eat before or don't you?
Okay. Here's the deal. I don't always eat before I work out. I think people get in the minutia a lot. There is like a lot of people think, oh my God, I got to eat right after a workout. I have to eat right after a workout. Well, sometimes it's not possible to do that. There's this fictitious, there's in fitness, and I think in every other area, there's these, how do I say this? These cliche words that people use, fasted cardio. You've heard that before, anabolic window. All these words that people do that are just fad words basically, and they have a little bit of validity, but they hook you and you think, oh my gosh, this person's a genius, whenever they have a small really they have a minute amount of impact on overall success. And so what I would do, I always eat before I work out. I don't like doing fasted cardio. Can't stand it because I want some energy when I work out. So when I go to the gym, I have a protein shake before and a protein shake after. But I wouldn't say, it's not like, thus saith the Lord, you must do it. That's, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of people get dogmatic on that. And I think you probably know this in this field. There's a whole bunch of experts that are very dogmatic about their approach. I don't get into that. Now, what happens is if we're getting ready for a show or something else, so if it's really extreme for the 97% of the population, it doesn't matter. It does matter, however, if you go to the gym and you don't eat and you get lightheaded while you're doing leg press. Now we got a problem. We have to eat. So it's like it's a case by case basis. I eat. I want to have a good workout, and I want to have energy throughout the workout. So that's why I eat. But a lot of people don't do that. They'll do intermittent fasting, their window of working out. And we know people together, Ryan Ebling and his wife, they do intermittent fasting. They'll work out in the morning, won't eat until the evening. Success doesn't lie. They have great success on that. That's not me. I'm not going to do that, but it works if you're willing to do it. So that this kind of disproves the anabolic window that people talk about. Completely disproves it, because muscle protein synthesis can happen anytime. It doesn't happen in specific times. There's no scientific factual based on that. I know that's a deeper question you want to do, but my answer to you is this: for most people, if you're brand new at the gym, have your protein shake before you work out. Have a protein shake after you work out. A protein shake, like I got one here. It's a Premier Protein Shake, premierproteins.com. Use the code Don Strange. Just kidding. I don't get any kickback on it. But it's 160 calories, 30 grams of protein. I get 30 grams of protein before, 30 grams of protein after. I'm not cannibalizing muscle at all, for sure. But I'm not going to gain any weight either, because we've talked so many times, you can't get fat eating protein. It's almost impossible. Protein is a structural macronutrient, not an energy macronutrient. But I'll drink one before and then one after. I'll drink protein. I break all the rules when it comes to nutrition, as far as what all the experts say. I drink protein shakes as I'm working out. I have two of these. If you see me on the treadmill drinking a protein shake, and people are like, "What are you doing? You're not doing fasted cardio." No, because it doesn't matter. Anyway, basically, if I'm trying to lose weight and I burn 2,500 calories, and I only consume 2,300 calories, I create a 300 calorie deficit during that day. And over the course of 10 days, actually 12 days, I'll drop a pound of fat. That's science. Got it? Does that make sense to you? I think I went way too detailed to that, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed my answer. So if you didn't like it, Cynthia, too bad.
I loved your answer, Don. I think everybody else will as well. So what you're saying, let me put it in the Reader's Digest version, and you tell me if
Love
I'm
it.
right.
I love it. I
Is
said a lot. I said a lot.
is that it's individualized. So that's one of the things that I love about you and the way that you approach things is that you always meet us where we're at. So if you are a person that can work out and do intermittent fasting, I did that for a long time until I got sick. I did that a long time. I loved it.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
It's not,
and you worked with me doing it, and I was
that's
like, yeah.
correct.
And what did I tell you, Cynthia? Sorry, I said I'm never going to do intermittent fasting, but I
That's
didn't
great because
like
it's not for
slam it.
you. You're
Yeah,
hungry.
absolutely, I'm hungry.
And I get that, but it worked for me. It helped me. But now I eat differently. I eat your way more, lots of more little meals.
Yeah,
So anyway, so it's what works for you. First starting out, eat a little bit so that you don't get dizzy.
yeah, that's
But let's
exactly.
not sit down and eat eggs, bacon, toast, potatoes for breakfast before we go work
Yeah,
out. We're
yeah.
talking
Well,
about a protein shake, yogurt,
yeah.
and maybe some blueberries, not any heavy meal, right?
You don't want to be sluggish. I'm glad you put that out. Like if you're competing, I say, hey, I'm gonna have a freaking prime rib, I'm gonna have a baked potato, I'm gonna have all that stuff. I'm glad you said that because there's extremes. And so I'm not extreme. I said a protein shake, but somebody be like, I'm going to eat me a prime rib. Well, that's probably a bad idea. Whenever your body has to digest food, then work out too, it's doing two different things. There's a lot of energy being expended, and you're not going to get a good workout. So that's the reason why eat light before you go to the gym. It's just really common sense. It's not like I'm not. I had a client one time who had they had like a pound of fettuccine alfredo before they ran, and it's like basically just like The Office. They did the same thing. They were sick. That's not wise. If you ever watch The Office, Michael Scott did in The Office. He had a lot of fettuccine alfredo and puke, but I had a client who did the same thing. It's like, well, that's not right. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, by the way, do you think I got enough drinks here? I got like, just
You keep yourself hydrated. That
I
was going to be
need
my next
more.
question.
Tell
That
me,
has to
tell
be Holy Spirit led
that
because
is
that
Holy
was my
Spirit.
next question about drinking. Um, Everybody talks about the water.
Yeah,
You have to have this amount of water. The average is everybody says 8 ounce glasses of water.
yeah.
So you say a gallon of water. Is that correct? A gallon of water a day?
That's what I gave you.
Oh,
Uh, and also this, I'm not nobody. There's extremes. Everybody be like, oh my gosh, you can drink too much water, you drown yourself. I had a guy tell me that one time. It's like, I don't want to drink too much water. It's bad for the kidneys. I don't know who told you that, but they were probably drunk. And I
I
had
think that's bad for the kidney.
I had another client. I had somebody else tell me, "Oh, you got to watch out. Drink too much water. This person died. They drink too much water." Yeah, they're stupid. If you die drinking too much water because you drank too much water, you either drowned or you're a moron because it's so hard. You can't drown yourself doing it. The guy, the person they were talking about, by the way, I don't know why I'm telling you the story, but I'll tell it to you anyway. We're in here. Anyway, it was a this guy in Chicago, a DJ. They said left. I think it was in Chicago. If you fact check me, I'm wrong. I'm going to get the base of it, so it might not be Chicago. But this DJ did a contest where you had to drink water. They had to drink a certain amount of water an hour, and then you couldn't pee. And so somebody died because they didn't pee. And so it was like because they drank like 3 or 4 gallons of water. Well, that's dumb. Say if you're dumb, that doesn't work. But as far as a gallon of water or what the number is, I told you, man, I'll talk about anything, Cynthia. You were right. By the way, whenever we started this thing, you said, hey, keep it short, Don. And he said, well, you don't keep it short. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions and you just keep talking. That's exactly right. Well, the deal is with water. What I would tell people is this: take their body weight, divide it in half, and drink that many ounces in water every day. I think that's a good number. That's a very good number. Then that way you don't have to drink a gallon because a lot of people won't. I have clients that start out with 32 ounces because they just hate water. They can't stand water. Water is the liquid of life, and so drink as much you can if you want. It's not going to hurt you, but just make sure you pee, otherwise you could die. Right? I got way more I could say about it, but did I say
That's
enough?
okay. We'll move on.
Okay. That's smart, Cynthia. As you're a smart woman. You get a kick out of me. See, this is going to be a 4-hour podcast, and people get like 3 nuggets of information they can use. What's next?
No,
Any other questions we
almost
got?
everything you say is good. Not
Yeah,
everything, almost.
almost. I appreciate it.
I think our last question, and then, when you're listening to this, guys, if you have any questions that you'd like us to answer, just put it in the chat, DM us. We're on Instagram. He'll have all of the links at the bottom so that, you can get your questions answered. We're here to guide you. We're trying to play light and joke around, but look, health is a serious situation. You need to be as healthy as you can to run the race that God put before you. So that's what we're out here doing. We're, like I said, trying to be fun about it. Life is too serious, all stressed out. We don't want that. So the last question we'll have for right now is, what do you tell people that are, and I know you're a macros guy, and I love that. Why don't you do a very quick explanation for people who don't know what macros are, to just kind of give them the basis, and then, we can help you with learning more.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is easy. It's actually, this is we overcomplicate stuff. And I honestly, this, you've talked to me a lot. I can overcomplicate stuff, and I could talk in circles without giving an answer. And I don't even do that on purpose, because I'm not trying to hide information. I'll give away free information all day long, but it's not hard. There's 3 macronutrients: carbs, protein, and fat. And those are to give you energy and structure in your body. And there's 2 energy macronutrients. They are carbs and fat. They have other functions besides just energy, but those are your 2 main things that they give you energy, right? And then you have protein, which is a structural. And so if you're trying to lose weight, trying to build muscle mass, protein is the most important macronutrient. People say all the time, in fact, I've heard nutritionists say that carbs are essential. Carbs are the only thing that are not essential. However, you've heard me say this too, Cynthia. I'm not anti-carb. I eat plenty of carbs. I give you carbs. You didn't want to eat carbs when I first met you. I'm not anti-carb, but they're not essential other than a little bit of fiber and some micronutrients like the vitamins and minerals on them. But then you got fat, which is the other macro, and then protein. Protein is the most important macronutrient. It's structural. Everything in your body, other than fat, is made of protein and minerals. Your body is 17%, 14 to 17% protein. And then obviously the lion's share of your body weight's water, which it can be up to 70 something percent. Essential fat for a person's 3 to 5% for a man. For a woman, it's 9 to 11%. And if you don't, this is the key here. I said all that to say this, because probably everybody on this listen to this podcast is thinking they either want to lose weight or build muscle mass or change their body composition in some way. Protein is the most important macronutrient. You're not going to gain fat eating protein. It will build structure, it'll build muscle mass. Muscle burns more calories than fat, or muscle burns more calories per pound than fat does. And so at the end of the day, you got to get your protein grams up, and you got to manage those energy macronutrients, because if you don't burn those are the ones that are stored as fat. So that's the high view of how my brain works when it comes to changing somebody's body composition. I hope that was as confusing to you as it was to me.
Well, I know it was pretty straightforward.
Good.
The only thing that I would add is the percentage. So correct me if I'm wrong, that when to figure out like now we've told them, okay, protein, fat, carb, now what's the percentage around? So I'm going to review with you what you told me to make sure I'm still understanding things.
Yep.
Take the body weight that you want to be.
Yep.
And that's the amount of grams of protein that you're supposed to have in the calorie amount that you're given.
That's a good reference point. Yes, for most people.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's a good reference point. Absolutely. So whatever your goal body weight is, eat that at least 70 grams of protein a day.
At least
if you go over, that's fine. But if your goal is fat loss, make sure you stay under your basal metabolic, how many calories you burn per day.
Thanks for tuning into Strange Sculpting. Keep pushing.
So let's do that real quick so people can
join us next time for more insights on transforming your life.
300
Stay strong.
calories a day.
Well, the high end as far as this, whenever you look at whenever you look at how many calories a person, a man or woman burn a day, typically the average woman burns around 2,300 calories a day. The lowest amount would be 1,200 calories a day, and the highest amount would be 2,700 calories. So every person fits in between there. And so most people think the women think, oh my gosh, I don't burn any calories, or they think they're at the 1,200 calorie range, but that's probably not accurate for two reasons. Number one, people underestimate how many calories they eat by 500 every day. And then they overestimate how much activity they do. So, you that could be a swing of 700 calories right there. So most people underestimate that. So I would probably say that's a little high on the high end, 2,300 calories. Okay. But that being said, I would say a solid number since I've been training is about 2,000. However, the science that I've seen, the average woman burns around 2,400 calories a day. I think that's a little high still, though. That was a study of like 600 women did that study. But to be safe, we'll say every woman burns about 2,000 calories.
And what would you say for men?
Probably around 2,800 calories. That's about where you're at. Yeah, there's a lot of people do. Men can just lose weight
faster. They eat more, they lose weight faster.
I was going to say a couple bad words about them, to be honest with you.
No, don't do it.
I will do it, Cynthia.
I know you will. Okay, so then let's go with the 2,000 for women and the 2,800 for men. When they're figuring this out, so about 40% is supposed to be protein and 30 fat, 30 carbs. You can mix all of them around as long as you don't go under the amounts on the protein. The other ones can fluctuate.
Oh, absolutely. How I make programs is this. It's based upon what that person, if they don't like fatty foods, not necessarily fatty foods, if they're not into avocados or, God's good fats or olive oil, well, they'll get more carbs, because bottom line is I don't really buy in to a lot of the ideas behind fat loss. I found, in fact, I could show you study after study. A lot of it is just, niche-y people getting your money to sell you an idea that's filled full of false facts. My thing is, let's get under that calorie allowance and let's give you food you like. That's what I do, because if it doesn't, we'll just say, I get fat if I look at a carb. That's the lie. But that being said, I can understand that. But
that's because you're looking at it and then eating it. That's where the problem.
That's the problem right there. But a lot of people do that. I hear a lot of. I'm not going to get into it, but there's a lot of misinformation in the area of nutrition. There's a lot of false facts when it comes to it, or misleading facts to get you hooked on a program that's nonsense. Can I tell one story before we leave?
Sure.
Okay. Because I know this is, we want to keep it, under like 3 hours. I think that's what you said. But I trained a guy, him. I'm not going to say his name.
That's okay.
But I trained his wife. I didn't train him, and he was a CFO of Goodwill at one time. And I went to his office one day, and he said, "Don, let's talk about nutrition." I said, "Okay." And I said, "By the way, how's so and so? How's your wife doing?" She says she's doing good. She had previously trained with me, and she said she's doing really good. And I just want to ask you about the diet she's on. I said, "What is it?" And he said, "Well," he named it. And I don't know the name. And I said that, how brutally honest I am. I'm just blunt, and I like being blunt. But he said, "You never heard of the name of this? You never heard of this diet?" I said, "No." He said, "That surprises me because it's in your field." Yeah, I said, "I don't study diets. I understand nutrition, so I don't have to study diets." That doesn't mean that I'm actively avoiding them, because I try to stay up as much as I possibly can. But I really don't look at the latest diet because I get nutrition. Anyway, so okay, fair enough. And I said, well, tell me a little bit about this diet. And he said, well, he said, Don, he said, she's trying to get rid of tomatoes and peppers. And I said, okay, just stop. It's an anti-lectin diet. And he said, yeah, I've heard that term. I said, yeah, I know it's an anti-lectin diet. And I said, that's no big deal. I said, I know that her goal was to like drop 50 pounds. Did she have any food aversions toward those? He said, no, not really. I said, okay. So let me ask you a question though. Let's just go this route. Let's say if there was, do you think America's health consequences and America's epidemic obesity problem we have, 82.2% of the population is, overweight, obese, or severely obese. Do you think, and then the chronic disease, is insane in the United States of America. Do you think that's caused from the tomato? And he said, no. I said, exactly. I said, I've never told one of my clients, I've never said, hey, whenever you go to Burger King, make sure you get it minus the tomato. I've never said that because it's freaking stupid. And so that doesn't mean there's not validity to that either, Cynthia. There is validity to that. There's absolutely validity to that. But the deal is, if you don't have that food aversion, there's no reason in doing it. Let's just get the basics right. That's why we make plans. I'm not going to take you off a tomato unless I find out you can't eat tomatoes. Then you're not getting them, right? And so it's amazing because all the people I've trained and all the weird food aversions I found. I had a lady one time couldn't eat vegetables. She lost 22 pounds when she couldn't eat vegetables. That's 1 in a million. But that's why I work with people one-on-one to try to figure out what's going on with them. Is there really some validity behind what they're saying, or are they miscalculating their calories? That's why when you come to us, Cynthia, what do? We look at you. We say, okay, what are you willing to do versus what you can do? It's a cliche. I say it all the time. But if you're not willing to do it, you're certainly not going to do it long term. You could do it a little bit, but you either go long or go hard. Anyway, what else do you got? Is that it? Or do we
Last thing that I want to share is that what we're doing is we are not putting you on a diet. We are putting you on a change of your lifestyle. Because if you change your lifestyle, you will change your life. That's why life is at the beginning. So don't look for the quick fix because talk to a girl who's been through many, it does not work. You have to do the steps, you have to do the eating properly, you have to change your relationship with food on either end. There are some people who are afraid to eat anything because they're afraid to gain a pound. So they are very nutritionally unhealthy. And then you have people that are thin, but they're fat thin. So we want you to be healthy for who you are, not to fit into a mold.
That's exactly right. Let me add one more thing to you, what you said there, which was you're exactly right because everybody does these quick fixes. The problem with the quick fix is most people don't, Cynthia, they don't even realize what they're doing is a quick fix. Like keto, it's a quick fix for most people because most people are going to start eating carbs again. It's a fact, right? And so then they're putting butter in their coffee, they're putting MTC on the coffee, they're getting 400 calories worth of fat. And then they eat a donut afterward because they say, I'm not doing cardio. I'm not doing keto anymore. Well, now you got so many energy macronutrients, you kind of burn them off. And so the deal is with a quick fix. There are, valid quick fixes. In fact, you've done quick fixes with me several times because it's a foundation. So whenever Cynthia says quick fix, as long as you know it's a quick fix, you literally know it's a quick fix. It's okay to do the short term. You could be vegan short term. You could even do keto short term. But understand, hey, this is not a lifestyle. Also, if you're looking for fat loss, there's better ways to lose fat than keto. And we offer a quick fix. It's called the 40-day fix, which is it's the biggest quick fix in the world, but it's literally the foundation that you build on. You're never going to stop doing this. In fact, right now, Cynthia, because of some of the conditions you have, you're doing the 40-day fix even if you want to, right? And so,
whether I want to or not.
And it's done you well as far as your body composition and as far as your fat loss. You're maintaining muscle mass and dropping fat like crazy. But we're not anti-quick fix, but we are anti-quick fix that doesn't serve a long-term purpose. Because when I get somebody in the 40-day fix, what do? Put them on the 40-day fix. This is the foundation. You never don't do these principles. We just add to them. Unlike keto, once you do keto, it's like, now I'm going to eat carbs. Now you don't have a foundation. We build the foundation. Well, if you have a right foundation, you can build on it. That's what it's all about. But most people know very little about nutrition, but they know a lot of the cliche words. They'll know everything bad. They'll look at my protein shake and tell me everything bad. And I know it too. I know it. This is my business. Anyway, But I'm just trying to avoid Burger King and trying to avoid that tomato Burger King. And
Yeah, it's, you know what, that's so perfect. That's exactly why I did that, is to say that that's why your book is called 40-Day Fix. It's not called Lifetime Fix. It's
yeah,
called 40-Day Fix, to start the process and build from there. Love it.
absolutely. Absolutely. And anyway, also, before you guys leave, I'm offering a free resource. Me and Cynthia talked about what are we going to give away free. I'm going to give you a giveaway free. The protein cookbook is 30 delicious recipes of protein pack. If you're a woman and you don't want a beard, probably stay away from it because it's not going to do that. By the way, protein doesn't
Don't do
give
that,
women
Don.
beard. I like teasing. And you need protein, women. Men need protein. Protein is the building block for muscle mass. And if you, by the way, I said that because it was a joke. It's a complete joke. But if you're a woman, you need protein. You probably don't get enough. And I've got a cookbook I'm going to give away for free. It's in the notes below. You can click on that. Also, make sure you like this and share it with somebody else if I helped you. And we got all our links on the bottom. So Cynthia's Instagram link, you can click on her if you want to train with you. Click on there if you want to train with you, if you want to talk to us. We're willing to do a consultation with you free of charge until we get busy. And then it's going to cost you like $1 million. So you better get on board right now. Is that it, Cynthia? We good?
That's it, Don. Yes.
Okay. Next week, we got another episode of Weekly Resilience. So stay tuned.